Hey guys, welcome to our final video of the semester. We are almost to the end. This is just revision week and just applying feedback and working on your reflective cover memo. So in this video, we're going to do three things. We're going to talk about proofreading strategies, we're going to talk about the difference between proofreading and revising, and I'm going to show you how to do the PDF conversion that I had mentioned in the previous video and that some of you asked me about in discussion 19. So thanks for your questions. They are helpful clearly in this video to let me know what is not clear and what you guys need a little bit more instruction with. So let's go ahead and start with the PDF conversion. And just a reminder, your last discussion is due today at 6 p.m. And we're going to talk about page 97 in JAC, so I would highly recommend that page because it has a lot of good information for proofreading strategies, not just for this class, but for other papers and for other classes as well. So how we would make a PDF into, or a Word document into a PDF. So you go ahead and open your document. I'm just doing the final portfolio sample that I mentioned in Monday's video. Also, one note, some of you are asking me about some logistical things like what goes in the final portfolio. Definitely watch Monday's video. That will be just a comprehensive breakdown of everything that goes into it. The number one thing you can do to sabotage yourself in this class is obviously plagiarize, and we've already talked about that a little bit. The other thing is not following the basic guidelines of the assignment. So if you leave out like one of the projects, if you don't write your reflective cover memo, the peer review is not quite as important, but it's again a place that you've already done the work, so I'm asking you to include it. So again, you have the reflective cover memo. It needs to be a minimum of 2 single-spaced pages. Use subheadings and keep in mind the rules about memo formatting. I'm trying to do basically as much work as possible to front load the paper. Then put the papers in order that they were assigned. So the first one is going to be the annotated bibliography. Make sure the revisions. Make sure you are also uploading your revised draft. So I know that you've gone through a couple of drafts at this point. Make sure it's the most recent one because once I get those portfolios in, I only have a few days to grade them. I can't be kind of going back and forth emailing you like, oh, I forgot this draft and I didn't include this piece. Friday at 11:59 p.m. is the deadline, so be prepared, plan for kind of the worst in terms of academia, back up your research, back up your work, put it on a jump drive, email it to yourself, be prepared, okay? I don't want to get any emails that say everything is gone, what do I do? Because what you would do is you retake the course. If you're hospitalized suddenly, that would be completely unfortunate, and I would obviously work with you in that case. But try to plan to submit the portfolio maybe not at 11:58 p.m. Try to plan a little bit ahead. Of course, you can't plan for medical emergencies. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying like plan for what you can control. Okay. So yes, annotated bib is the second thing. You have reflective cover memo, annotated bib. Then you have the proposal. Then you have your qualitative research paper. And then the last paper we did was the op-ed, and then your peer review sample. Okay? You can use your same peer review, as I mentioned before. You just want to present the best one possible. And make sure all of these, like you have your last name and the page number submitted, all these kind of polishing details. If you have questions about that, that's fine. Please let me know. Please send your questions. But yes, make it as polished as possible. Basically, if it's not polished, it communicates to me that it affects your ethos. It communicates to me that you don't care very much about this class, or you haven't watched the videos, aka you haven't, quote, gone to class. So just make sure everything's in order before you hit submit. And if something goes wrong with eCampus, I will obviously take, if it's within the deadline, I'll take another draft of it. If you are like, oh, I forgot my works cited or whatever, then submit it to me via email. But what I would do is I would just make sure on eCampus that what you mean to submit shows up under the preview. Okay, so PDFs. What you do here is if you are using a PC or a Mac, I'm going to show you the PC and I'm just going to tell you the Mac. So you would go to Save As and you go to PDF. And it is simply, it is actually that simple. You can save it to wherever you want. So just make sure this here says .pdf. On a Mac, how you would do is you would also go to File, Save As, and then on your Mac it would be like centered. It drops down here, and then it says up here it would say where you want to save it to, and then down a little bit further around the same area here it would say what file format. So you want to make sure that Save As Type or file format just says PDF somewhere. Okay, so you can see that there are a couple different versions, but you want PDF, and then you hit Publish, and that will send it to wherever you told it to go. And it might take a little longer because you are working with giant documents at this point. So here it is. So this is the thing that you would upload to eCampus. And I'm making sure that we do it in PDFs because, one, I'm not giving you feedback on your final portfolios because they are final, and two, a lot of your charts and graphs have gone kind of haywire in Word, so I want them to be exactly what you mean them to be in your final portfolio. So PDF is the most kind of trusty documentation version, especially from Mac to PC and PC to Mac. Okay, so I'm not going to go over discussion 20. You guys know what the drill by now. I'm going to show you, so proofreading and revision. I'm just going to give you the quick rundown of the difference. So a lot of you in discussion 19, you said you were going to fix the comma errors, the punctuation, spelling, etc. That's great. However, the revision should go beyond that. So keep in mind how much you don't know how much work I do with grading, but I'll just tell you it's extensive. So I offer you marginal comments, and then I look at any drafts that you send to me, hopefully within 24 to 48 hours, trying to be very speedy about all of this feedback and trying to be very thorough. With that said, also you have a rubric for every single one. I know I don't stress the rubrics very much, but they are available under each folder in coursework, so you can see what's expected. There's also the rubrics in the book, in JAC, which I've mentioned at the very beginning of the class, and I mentioned throughout the semester. So you have multiple places to kind of look at your grade, or what counts as an A, B, C, D, F. Okay, so that is in terms of grading, because I think one of you asked me about grades and about proofreading versus revision, like what counts as proofreading. So the main point here is I'm expecting you guys to put in more work and more effort than I do. So on your drafts, on your revised drafts, your final for nows, whatever, I've given you lots of feedback. I expect you to not only read that feedback, but to implement it. And if you don't implement it, please explain why in your reflective cover memo. So I like you to be obviously free-thinking, autonomous humans, not robots who just create perfect papers based on a checklist I generate. So you can add things like, I decided not to do this specific feedback because of this reason, because I thought it flowed more naturally or whatever. The one thing not to do is say, I decided not to implement any of your feedback. That will tell me, okay, you didn't read any of the feedback, and obviously you don't care about your grade or success in this class. It's work, it's effort. I know it's week 6, but this is the week where you drink the most coffee, you put forth the most amount of energy and work so that you produce the product that you're prepared to present to me. Your whole portfolio is an argumentative paper in itself. It's a piece of persuasive writing saying, I believe that my writing falls into this category based on the rubric, based on your feedback, based on everything. And I have put in some initiative and thought into it as well. And I've improved as a writer in this way, etc. Okay, so a lot of that goes into your reflective cover memo. It's one of the most important pieces of this document you're presenting. So in terms of proofreading and revision, proofreading is simply those surface errors, those really easy to fix things. It's spelling, it's periods, commas, grammar, it's using direct quotes, like just having the quotes facing the right direction. It's making sure you're not including the year in the citation, the in-text citation. You're including the author's last name and the page number or the article title. It's all of these it's all of these errors that I highlight, like italicizing a title, etc. All of that falls under proofreading. And on page 97 of Jack, they have a couple of strategies for proofreading. You read the paper aloud. I pretty much write that in every single one of your papers. Read aloud for clarity, or unclear, or rephrase. Those are kind of the things that I'm saying, I don't understand what you mean here. Remember, you're writing for others. Look for specific details. Check the thesis. Read your paper backwards. This I actually recommend to a lot of my ESL students, and it doesn't mean read every word backwards. It means like read every sentence backwards to make sure that your arguments are following a logical progression of thought and that you're not repeating yourself. So a lot of this class has been based on concision and not having those repetitive sentences, and so I think I've kind of weaned that out of all of you at this point. However, that's a good proofreading strategy for the future. Use active voice, and typically when you use the word this, it should refer to a specific identifier next to it, like this paper, this book, etc. Those I'm not as concerned with as I am the revision. So the revision part is, I have a couple papers here. So this is a paper from one of my previous students. This is obviously the qualitative research paper. This is my draft on this side, and this is what I'll do with your final portfolio essentially, is I'm going to pull up what I requested that you do, and then I'm going to pull up your final and see how much kind of overlaps. So if everything's exactly the same and then you said you made revisions, I'm going to say, where are the revisions? So again, yeah, just be honest with your feedback, and because there's no point. I have all of it electronic, and I'm going to go through all of it. So just be honest with your feedback, and that kind of requires you guys to do the actual work. I'm not doubting that you guys will. I just want to make it clear before we get to the final that just doing comma changes or grammar changes, that's not enough for a revision. The revision itself is writing a whole new paragraph, adding that consensus section. So I believe this student actually did that, the consensus. I'm having so much trouble saying that word today. Okay, so she ended it originally here with this paragraph. In conclusion, there are multiple positive aspects, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to read this all. And then I said, take more time discussing this conclusion paragraph, because again, that's kind of the heart or the meat of the paper. This is the most useful or interesting part of your paper. Devote at least 2 paragraphs to it. You may want to consider starting this discussion in your introduction as well. So the student actually did that. She went back to the introduction. She added a little bit more there, and I didn't type in anything for her. She used her own critical thinking abilities, her own writing skills that she has learned. And then, as you can see here, there's an entire new paragraph, which has everything she learned from the study. And this is something that, like, more scientific papers would require some sort of overall consensus. Like, what is the point of doing the study? What is the point of receiving this funding in a theoretical sense? Where did all of the time and the money go? And then she included research here, etc. Another paper sample of a revision versus just proofreading. So she rephrased a lot of things. The student actually did an excellent job. She raised her grade. We worked very closely, and she raised her grade an entire letter grade and a half from her midterm. That is very rare, but she sent draft after draft after draft to me, and we worked for weeks upon weeks to get her to the level that she wanted to be. She worked tirelessly, so it's very possible, but she definitely put in the hard work in order to kind of demonstrate that she was willing to do the hard work. So as you can see here, she also deleted a lot of what I was telling her to delete, even within something as small as the finding section. She changed the formatting errors, and her discussion section is almost completely rewritten because she didn't do a super great job in the first paper. Anyway, that's the end of all the videos. So you guys keep working hard, keep sending me your questions. This has been an excellent experience, an excellent class. You guys are such good students, good hard workers, and let me know if you have questions.